Welcome to Bloodbath & Beyond. Today we're doing a retrospective review of Bad Dreams. Cynthia's got a grave problem.
In the directorial debut of Andrew Fleming of The Craft fame, this movie stars Jennifer Rubin, Bruce Abbott, Richard Lynch, and Harris Yulin. This movie's about Cynthia, the lone survivor of a cult that commits suicide, who wakes up from a coma 13 years later as she's having visions of her past cult leader Harris trying to bring her to the other side. And in his attempts, he's killing everybody around her. This is a Bloodbath Baller Club recommendation from Glenn Lambert over on Patreon. He's been a longtime supporter. He initially was requesting Maniac Cop, but it just came up from somebody else's request, so this was next in line. Never seen it, this was a first time watch for us. We will be talking full spoilers in this, so if you haven't seen it, check it out first. Otherwise, we will be talking about most of the movie. So what do we like?
I liked the mystery aspect behind it, only because you didn't know if what Cynthia was seeing was reality or just like an illusion. No one really interacted with the idea of Harris being there, but Cynthia thought he was. And as we're seeing the murders happen, it almost becomes a whodunit. Is Cynthia actually like possessed by Harris? Is Harris doing the killing?
Or is it something completely supernatural that's taking over? This kind of concept is interesting because you're constantly pointing fingers at different people, especially when you're in a hospital like this, where everybody has their own issues and they're all completely different. Some are violent, some are very quiet, and some are just way too outspoken, like Ralph.
Drop those knives.
These are not knives, these are fine surgical instruments.
Because they're at high risk patients, almost in an asylum, that they could have that aggressive tendency to like attack the other patients in there. You don't get that reveal until the very end.
And I like the different characters as well. Like Ralph is probably one of the best characters because he's just the comic relief. He's obviously got like this really dark part and he's just very strange with some of his humor, but a lot of his other humor is great.
Why don't you come up to my room and I'll catch you up to date? I got a hi-fi VHS VCR, a CD, and MTV.
And we found out that it was like mostly ad-libbed, which is very commendable. And I immediately recognized him from something, but I couldn't place it. But it's Ski School 1 and 2. Those movies I used to watch all the time. So it was cool to see him in this.
We're gonna get you out of that mint green thing that you're wearing and into a flimsy negligee. We're gonna pour water on the front. I see us on a desert isle.
There's other familiar faces too. Like we were surprised to see a very young E.G. Daly coming off of her fame as Dottie from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
I'm E.G. Daly, the voice of Tommy Pickles on Rugrats, and the voice of Buttercup on the Powerpuff Girls.
And it is worth noting that Jennifer Rubin, who plays Cynthia, she was in Dream Warriors, and this has elements of that, especially with like a burnt guy in your dreams.
Boiler rooms.
Boiler rooms. There's a lot of similarities here. It is funny that she was in it. I thought she did a great job as well. Like, she didn't know what the hell was going on, and if I woke up 13 years later, god damn it, like, I haven't talked to anybody in so long, and when I was in a cult with a bunch of people that just killed themselves. So everybody that I knew is dead. And there are some nice like visual elements as well. Well, we don't see all of the deaths. There are some moments where you see blood falling from the ceiling or somebody getting smashed with a car into the wall.
Touchdown!
Like, there's a lot of cool moments that you can kind of isolate, and they're just very well done.
One of the bigger ones, and it's not even a kill, it's just when Ralph stabs his hand blade. Like, it goes right through, pulls it out, and it looks clean.
I was like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, I get that you're a cutter, but like, dude, that's going too deep.
I'm feeling woozy here!
Now, what didn't we like?
As much as I like the mystery element of it, I felt that the pacing was too slow, and our reveal, regardless of what ending, because as we looked into it, there's a way cooler alternate ending that I would have much rather have seen than the one that we saw, where the doctor is the killer and we don't get any exposition for it. Like, we actually get no reason. So you do this whole build up and you have this showdown, then the doctor dies and roll credits.
Is that supposed to be an explanation? Huh, Dr. Dick?
Like, we don't know why he was so invested in Unity and so invested in Cynthia. None of that was ever explained.
Yeah, Unity is what like the cult was called. This is the medical doctor. So like he's a level above Bruce Abbott from Reanimator, which we neglected to mention, but you probably know that already. He was switching medications so that it forced people into suicide. So nothing was actually happening. Harris was all an illusion because Cynthia was just tripping out on THC. Man, remember the 80s where it's like, weed's fucking bad.
It's liquefied condensed marijuana. 100 cc's of this. Everybody in Detroit gets wasted.
I've just felt this movie was kind of boring, to be honest. If you were to take a step back and you look at this and you hear some of the things that we're saying, it sounds like it could be interesting. And it isn't really. Like, there are some cool moments. There's some kind of weird moments. Even like the cult where he's like pouring gasoline on people, kind of like a baptism before they light themselves on fire. That seems really cool. And the blood sound cool, but like it really drags. And you're not really invested in any of the characters other than Cynthia, Ralph, and the doctor. So it really doesn't matter when anyone else dies, and nor does it seem to impact anybody. Like, the doctors in that hospital don't really give a shit. They're like, well, 7 people died today. Here, take your pills.
With all this commotion from the power outage, she didn't take the 6 o'clock drink.
We had a really cool moment in the film, but it was definitely out of place with everything else, and that was when Alex driving the car to kill the doctor because he was just fired. That was like a 5 to 10 minute segment.
Officer, I'll write myself a prescription in the morning.
This is one of those things, when, especially when we revisit 80s movies that have some kind of nostalgia for a lot of people, there are going to be people who think that scene is awesome. And it means zero, potentially, to show that he accidentally took a drug and this is the epiphany that, hey, the drugs must be fucked up. I think that that was what the goal was, but like, it didn't make any sense.
Like you said, this is the most incompetent hospital ever because the guy goes like downstairs to like check all the drugs from the pharmacist, and the pharmacist is like, this does this does this. And you're sitting here like, why would you give this stuff out if you knew that this wasn't the medication on their file?
He legit says like,
They don't even make this anymore. 2 of these, Mother Teresa becomes the maniac.
you put that there. You're the guy who did that.
I've never seen anything like this. Not even on the street.
You're lying because you filled that order this morning, and you have been doing it for 13 years. I do like the one no bullshit cop though. We forgot to mention that guy. Every situation he walks in, whether it's Ralph killing himself or walking on the roof and just seeing like people hanging off the ledge and a guy trying to shoot himself.
All right, what the hell's going on up here?
He was awesome.
In the hell they get down there?
Not much more to say about this movie, honestly. I think we should go to our final thoughts. I don't have a ton to say about this movie. I did appreciate seeing some familiar faces, and I think that a lot of people did a good job in their roles. However, like, the whole story was kind of boring, and the conclusion really made me not like the rest of the movie. Like, even if I liked isolated scenes, without some kind of thread to tie it all together to make it make sense, there's no point in having the movie. I felt like this was so disjointed. And it's weird because like there are so many good concepts. I do like not knowing what is real, what is fake, where Harris exists. Does he exist only in her mind, or does Gilda also see this guy? Because she was talking like she might know something about Harris.
Go back to where you came from. Go back to your netherworld. He has touched you. He will take you.
And despite a few like practical effects that we see, it's kind of just like a throwaway movie, and there's probably a good reason why I've never heard of it until now. So I'm gonna give this 2 when the caffeine goes straight to your head out of 5.
I was really intrigued with this movie because the concept was cool, but at the end of it, I was left disappointed. I'm more furious with the fact that the whole concept of a whodunit is you get the reveal of the killer, but you don't get the motive. It sucks, because then everything before that is discredited. Without knowing why it's happening, why do I care that the doctor was killing all of these people?
Join us, Cynthia, in unity, in beautiful unity.
I thought it was cool how it presented itself. I liked those aspects. I liked how it was shot. I liked the idea of guessing who the killer could be, but didn't give a strong enough ending of a film, and it just put a bad taste in my mouth. On top of that, the pacing was very off. It's not a long movie, but it feels like it drags for a while. Even though you get some cool kills in between, it's a lot of, well, Cynthia, this is what happened in the house. Harris is a bad guy. All right, we're in a different room now. Well, Cynthia, Harris is a bad guy, and this is what happened in the house. It's just on repeat. I can appreciate certain elements of this movie, and I can appreciate the acting and the cinematic style of it, but at the end of the day, I just was not a fan of the story. I'm gonna be the bad guy in this one, and I'm not gonna recommend this. So with that being said, I give this film 1.5 pillow screams out of 5.
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film if you've seen it. If you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And I wish I had a Nightmare on Elm Street thing to link you to, but we haven't covered that series. Maybe I just don't like bad dreams. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with everything Blood Bath & Beyond also.